I'm going to tell you a story that is in John 6. This is a popular one, and I think you've probably heard it before. But again, this story about Jesus breaking the bread and the fish for the 5,000 people is not just there to tell a good yarn. It is a story that is made to set up a long exposition to follow. And so the same rules that I spoke of in my last video would apply also to this video. So I'm going to attempt to tell the story now from John 6. Now Jesus crossed over to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, and a large crowd was following Jesus because they had seen the signs that he had performed to heal the sick. Jesus' disciples went with him. He went up on a mountain and he sat down, and it was near the time of the Passover. And Jesus lifted up his eyes. He saw the large crowds coming to him, and he turned to Philip and he said, "Where are we going to find enough food for all these people to eat?" He did this to test Philip. He already knew what he had in mind to do. And Philip said, 200 denarii would not be enough to give these people even a little bit. Now there was another one of Jesus' disciples, Andrew, who was Simon Peter's brother, and he said to Jesus, "There is a boy here who has 5 loaves and a couple of fish, but what is that for so many people?" So Jesus instructed the people to sit down. There was a lot of grass in the area, and the men all sat down on the grass, the number of which was 5,000. And Jesus took the bread and he broke it. He lifted his eyes up to his Father. He gave thanks, and then he distributed the bread to the people who had as much as they wanted to eat. And he did the same thing with the fish. After the people had had their fill, Jesus turned to his disciples and he said, "Gather up what is left so that nothing will be lost." The people gathered up the bread and the fish, which were not consumed, and they filled 12 baskets. Now when the people saw this sign that Jesus performed, they looked at one another and said, "This is for sure the one who is coming into the world, the King." So that's the story in essence, and this story is found in John 6, and it sets up a long story. Now, I hope that you read the story at least once if you're learning this story, because what you get in this story is one of the points, is that Jesus is concerned for the people's physical nourishment, but he's also concerned for the people's spiritual nourishment as he begins to teach them about how they can feed on the power of his life and his death and his resurrection and himself. And that is really the point of this long story. This is one of the longest chapters in the book of John. I think it goes beyond 60 or 70 verses. And again, it's a bit to tackle if you're a beginner, but it is good to know. And so today, as I share this story, what I wanted to share with you was a little bit of practical information about learning. If you get into learning Bible stories, how do you care for your physical and spiritual nourishment? Physically, allow me to give you a little bit of a lecture. What do you eat from day to day? If the science of your brain says that if you eat a lot of starch, a lot of sugar, and a lot of calories, it does actually have an effect on your brain's ability to learn and to memorize. So if you are getting in this habit and you're really loving it, then making the adjustment toward eating more vegetables, drinking more water, taking care of your body will also give you a bit of an advantage if you're memorizing. So lecture over. You take that and do what you want. But what about spiritual nourishment? So if we look into Jesus's admonition for the people to be spiritually healthy, I think of some of the things that can happen when you learn Bible stories or Bible verses. And one of those is that you do focus sometimes on yourself. And I certainly do. I get a little bit caught up in my accomplishments, want to give myself ribbons for learning verses. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that as we grow spiritually, just as Jesus looked out on the people and had compassion, we need to do we need to see that happening in us. So, how do you balance out rest and discipline? These are hard questions to answer, but as you proceed to learn verses and learn stories, rest in what God is doing around you, rest in God's power, and just expect that He's going to turn your heart and your focus away from yourself as you grow spiritually and toward wanting other people to have these beautiful truths which are found in the book of John. I hope that happens to you. I've still got a long way to go myself, but Jesus does promise to fulfill us both physically and spiritually.